Joker, Harley, Criminal Sanity issue 2. Cami Garcia writing with Mike Mayhew and Miko Suyin on art.
With Jason Badawa, as we learned earlier.
Yes, true. But I imagine this is a transition of him leaving the book, this issue. So yeah, if you remember correctly, there's a serial killer on the loose doing some proper messed up, Seven-esque butcherings.
So I got caught up on this week.
Oh, sure.
I went back and read the first one because I didn't have time last time. And it helps that it's shorter, right? It's like a typical length book.
It's a few more pages longer, but yeah, it's not super long.
It is 7, but with Harley. And I can't say that I don't like it. So I got to the end of that issue, and then with this one, and yeah, seven indeed. Because when you see this new art installation of a body, and it looks like the Salvador Dali clocks, right?
Yeah.
And then they start looking, and the head wasn't removed because the spinal column's still intact.
Yeah, it was crushed.
And I read that, yeah, and it made me shiver. Just like,
and all these candles melting the body fat.
Yeah. Also,
that's terrible.
The time, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the time here. Well, I was going with the arms of the person. If it's the arms of the person, it's 2:45. But there's an argument to say that there's lines inside the clock that's saying that it's actually
12:30.
Let me look.
Well, it depends. It's actually kind of hard to tell which hand's supposed to be the other hand.
Is it 12:30 or is it 6:05?
It's hard to tell because the hands look just as long as each other, to be honest.
Yeah, it was at first glance that that one seemed longer, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, the time may not be ultimately that important beyond just a detail that they use later to solve something, but I thought I'd mention it. So yeah, she's at the crime scene, which is where we left the first issue off. Again, we have flashbacks to the origins, presumably, of the Joker. This asshole Mike's kid. He's this abusive father, this Mike, and we see this kid going through the turmoil. We also get a flashback of Harley at one point, which I did think was weird, was in colour in the other art, because later on in the book there seems to be some stuff that seems like it might be present day with Joker, and it's in colour, it's in the colour art, and it felt weird to me that if you're going to use the colour to sort of signify the Joker parts of the story, it felt weird to then have backstory with Harley. Because when I read the Harley flashback, I thought, okay, it's the flashback art style, as opposed to... But then later on, there was some Joker stuff, and I'm not entirely sure when that's set. And I'm like, if that's more or less present day...
Yeah, I think that's the point, though.
I assumed it wasn't present day because of that.
It's definitely sooner, or nearer, right? It's definitely much further along the timeline.
Why?
Of the Joker?
Of the Joker? I mean, sure, but comparatively, but it could still be years ago.
Well, no, there's a thing on the TV, though, that implies it's the same time. The thing that's on the TV in the background with him is the same thing that Harley was watching on TV in the previous page.
I see.
Yeah, but I think also that they both have it on QVC, is I think the point. Because that's just what's on that late. But if you look at Joker's hair here compared to the black and white pictures, it's the black and white pictures are further along.
Okay, sure. The TV told me it was present day, but I mean...
No, I get that, but I read that this is a flashback, and that's...
Maybe it's a joke on how QVC never changes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Harley's looking at the case, she's talking to Crane, asking about Zaz, all these other things. We get more
that was a good scene about
page,
Zaz. He's... No, Zaz can never be released.
He's too dangerous.
That's what I loved. Yeah.
We see... Actually, you know what? I kind of loved the dad. Like, obviously, when I say love, I mean in terms of just how it looks, but the dad punching like the kid with the mask on, and it leaves the break in the mask. I actually really like that panel.
Yeah. And then the kid just still goes out and does Halloween like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it looks like the person he goes to puts him in the hospital and says, "Hey, like, you know, like I have to, you know, treat this."
I mean, yeah, pretty understandably.
Yeah, because they're a decent human being. So, and then from there, you know, we get the autopsy stuff. Harley's at the morgue, asking questions, and the woman, the coroner's more interested in going for lunch at the Chinese place.
God, and then Harley, I don't eat Chinese, because that's what happened in the last one with her roommate. But yeah, which this is such a trope on murder shows. I know because my wife watches a lot of them.
Yeah.
The coroner is really peppy and upbeat and just
they're not just that, and it's just their job. So it's like me, going over stuff at work and being like, "Oh, what are we having for lunch?" It just involves dissecting dead bodies.
I can't remember what movie this is from. Someone in the comments maybe help me, but there's definitely a movie where a coroner is eating a sandwich and he places it on the body mid scene and picks it back up.
And this is such a trope at this point that part of me want to be irritated, but the other part was like, well, no, it's also Gotham. Gotham has a lot of effed up people.
I believe it. I believe that they get so it becomes so mundane and every day that sure, I'll talk about lunch.
So talking about the black and white art and the color art, what's our take there on the fact that the next scene we get is a younger Joker, presumably, which is mostly in black and white, but there is color on his face, for the makeup and the hair.
Yeah, I was actually unsure as to which artist this was, because it's in the sense of out of the three. Obviously, I didn't think it was the standard flashback artist. It's too clean, but I was wondering, is this the one that that we're transitioning to?
Maybe.
Is it like the idea that a bit closer to the other style, but still with the color elements as well?
If so, it's fantastic. Like this scene is just moody. And I can hear the music, even though there is none of that. The single shot of him. What I loved it, because what I think I really like about the art here, and I've liked, because the art is there's some criticisms to have if you think it's too sort of traced looking in some of the colored stuff, especially, but
a realistic to a uncanny valley point.
But one of the things that I do love is the texture of material, and I actually love the close up of when his hand with the leather glove is going to pick up the knife. I think there's just so much mood in just those two little panels of him going for that knife.
It's the way that the light comes off it, and the way it kind of shines on the leather glove.
It just looks really good. So I really like that. And we have Harley and her brother. Her brother shows up and wants you to come and visit her dying mother, and she's like, nope. Which leads to the flashback of her mother being this controlling, crazy person, essentially.
Yeah, wouldn't let her wear all the makeup.
Yeah. It's funny because as much as still it's too lifelike at some points, that panel of Harley looking over her shoulder in the flashback, saying I'll take it off, that does look really good.
I think up until I see the ear.
Sure.
When I get to the ear, it bugs me.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I can see it.
No, I get it. But it also reminded me of stuff from Hill House too, because there's that moody horror aspect to it as well.
I'm so up and down on this art because there are panels that I think are fantastic, like which when she's actually doing the scrubbing and above it, I think minus the ear, and then that's great. But then you've got at the start of that page her looking in the mirror, and obviously it's super photorealistic of her in the mirror, and then you've just got this cartoony silhouette in the doorway, and it looks so weird.
Yeah. And then there's some more flashbacks of what's the kid's name? I keep forgetting the kid's name. Joe?
It's John.
Is it John? Okay, John Kelly.
Yeah. It's John Kelly. Yeah.
So
let me double check.
So he's at high school, and basically this jock guy sort of says, you see me walking here as he bumps into his shoulder sort of intentionally, and I actually love that last panel. It's actually a little bit cliche, but he just has this evil skull of I'm going to get him back. I'm kind of into it. So he actually goes to the library, guesses his password to get onto his photo accounts, and finds some stuff of him and a guy who are dressed up in bras and kissing each other, and sends it to all of everybody in school, basically. And then he bumps into him as he's going on the steps and says, "What? Can't you see me walking here?" So it shows you how petty he is, and how vindictive he'll be.
Let me just tell you the flaw in this. I work at a school. That internet is so blocked off, you can't get to social media.
Oh sure, yeah. And this is why. This is exactly why.
Exactly. So just that, not that it's a big thing. It doesn't impact the story in any way. But I can't even
To be fair, Matt.
I think it was doing. It looked to me like he was doing it on a Find My Phone sort of thing, because he logged into his phone account because he sends it to all his contacts rather than any actual.
To be fair though, Matt, just to make a point here, is that this is a flashback to when he's a teenager, so this would be in the earlier days of internet in schools as opposed to now.
My school always had it, to be fair.
No. So anyways, I saw that, and even if this is just a photo share site, something that probably would have been blocked at a school, that's just all.
I'm willing to forgive on just just for convenience for the story, and also I'll buy that Gotham High is shitty enough not to have the blocks in place.
Like I said, for me, this played like logging into your Google account, right? So, which wouldn't be blocked because that's your emails.
Yeah.
And in the same way that all your pictures are just backed up onto your account. If you got an Android phone, you can back up all your pictures into your account, and the fact that it's sent to his contacts, not just it wasn't a school address list, it was the phone contacts. So that's why I assume it was like a Google account that he was logged into.
Yeah, so we actually continue the flashbacks there. Same age, he's at home, he's shaving, and his dad demands to get in the bathroom, and then basically mocks him for using like a proper traditional razor. He's like, no, you should use a straight edge, like an old school man kind of thing. And because he barely talks back to him, he has his friends hold him down and holds the blade to his neck. And then we see him stumble into the hospital. Yeah, it's almost shocking that this kid's not been taken from him and put in child services, customer services. Put this kid in customer services.
Especially after like earlier on, we saw the bit of the dad break his arm and then he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, I guess, showing how bad the system is in Gotham.
Exactly.
They just can't, take the kid away from his dad, even though his dad's clearly not healthy for him.
So, I just looked up that the tattoo on that dude's head is a straight up prison tattoo.
Of course it is.
So,
yeah,
okay.
I'm not surprised.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it looks like the same diamond on the TV. Because we're at those pages now where Harley's got the TV on, and then we go to the Joker, prepping something, and it looks like the same diamond that's on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a shorter hair Joker. Although I do like the makeup is very Heath Ledger. It's very much the darker eyes, the bigger smile.
Yeah. So when you see him here, I feel this is the vibe that Ayer wanted out of Jared Leto's Joker.
Oh sure.
Not meth dealer with a million juggalo tattoos.
Here's the thing, Matt. I never thought of Jared Leto's Joker during this because this didn't make me want to vomit. So
no, looking back on it now, though, I'm like, this is probably what he was going for, but because I get where you get Heath Ledger and stuff from, but I also see the modern.
I don't feel that Heath. In terms of outside of the visual, I don't feel it's that Heath Ledger.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just purely the makeup is very Heath Ledger.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from on that too, but yeah, no. I get this is the kind of dangerous vibe. Like,
it's a lot more personal, petty psychopath versus.
Oh yeah, because this is definitely. I mean, hell, we're talking about this being Seven. This is definitely serial killer Joker as opposed to I want to show the city that chaos reigns Joker. It's very different, but that's the whole concept of this book is that Harley's a criminal psychologist and Joker's a serial killer. That's the premise of this.
Yeah.
They arrested this homeless guy from the park who killed someone in the park, and Harley's like, this is not our killer. I mean, he killed someone, but this is not our serial killer.
He's covered in blood. He did something, but this isn't the one we're looking for.
Yeah. So the final scene, which is in full color with the Joker, youngish looking, but still, Joker-fied, is him stalking a woman in the park, and says, "I'm sorry that what does he say? Sorry to keep you waiting." Yeah, had to be sure. So this implies either it's crazy speak or this target is someone specific that maybe he knew when he was younger. But we end with her tied in a chair, mouth is taped, and he's got a blade in his hand, and he says, "I could tell you this isn't going to hurt, but that would be a lie." I will say, my one complaint, or my biggest complaint of the first issue, was the cliffhanger felt really weird. Like, it wasn't a cliffhanger. Like, I thought I had a missing page or something at the end. This is more of a... This feels like a cliffhanger, so fair enough. So, yes, that was a solid issue. If anything, maybe I liked it more than the first one.
It's really good. It benefits from being so different that you're not questioning what it's doing and why it exists.
Sure,
it's just it's so different. It's this completely different take. You go, sure, why not?
Well, this is the thing. If let's say the Joker movie said, no, it's like I'm doing an Elseworld where my take is it's the Joker, but this, but it's not different enough in that sense to actually make it something else. It's just, you know.
This is almost David Fincher's Joker Harley.
It kind of is.
So, and I love David Fincher, so sure.
To me, this is like akin to Gotham by Gaslight, which is Batman but in the Victorian England setting, right? This is Joker and Harley, but in a David Fincher movie.
I'd watch the hell out of that movie.
Yeah, because and not to beat the David Fincher horse, but it's not just Seven, but I'm getting kind of like Zodiac vibes.
Oh yeah,
of the mundane,
little bit. You could even go as far as going into Mindhunter with the Harley side of things.
Yeah, the first issue had that whole 2 pages where she was talking about different serial killers. That was very Mindhunter, the way it was bringing all that stuff up.
Which I did feel kind of slowed the book down, which started to feel like a textbook. This didn't have any of that, as far as it goes.
Yeah. They could have spread that out.
You also have to set the tone.
What they could have done with that is they could have devoted like 1 page per issue to a different serial killer. Almost like a case file in each issue. They could have done something like that.
Also, I've listened to a lot of true crime stuff on my own, and then dealing with my wife's love of all of that. I was familiar with each of those serial killers, and it makes me sad. Like, they got to Ed Gein which I also shouldn't have read these before bed this week, because then it gave me messed up dreams.
Yeah, that was a bad idea.
Right, which I don't know how like Pete and Tim watch so many horror movies and then go to sleep. My brain doesn't work like that. But anyways, they got to Ed Gein and the nipple belt, and I was like, I forgot about that. Thanks, Criminal Sanity, for reminding me. But no, this issue definitely was an improvement of that. But I love the vibe of it. It has that grittiness to it, like. Not gritty in that like true, like this is how life really is, but it's closer than some of the other comic books, right?
Yeah, I really like the black and white art, and then the colored art is good in places. Obviously, sometimes feels a bit off, but like it definitely has a style, and I'm definitely into it overall. Is what it's creating in terms of its feel. So yeah, Black Label. Doing quite well. It's just doing just fine. Matt, what are you rating Criminal Sanity issue 2?
I mean, it was an 8. It's very, very good.
Sure, Connor?
Slightly higher. I'm gonna go with an 8.5.
I'm also going to go with an 8.5. Yeah. It's not quite at that amazing level of the 9, but I do think it's hefty into the great territory. And I'm happy to give it that.